As teachers, we wear so many hats, and if you're in the education field, you know this to be true. I mean, we're expected to be nurses, we're expected to be counselors, janitors. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. It is no wonder why so many teachers are leaving at a high rate, because just one of these jobs is stressful, let alone all of these jobs. In this video, I'm going to share with you 3 practical tips on how to reduce the stress of being a teacher. Now, I'm not going to tell you, go home, light a candle, take a bath, do something you like. I mean, don't get me wrong, those are great advice. I mean, they're nice advice. But the honest truth is this: it is hard to go home and leave your work at work when you know that the next day you come back, you're going to have that big pile waiting for you, plus some. So it's hard to go home and let all that stress go, knowing you got all that stuff waiting for you. The 3 tips I'm going to share with you are how to reduce the stress of lesson planning, how to quickly and easily grade papers, and how to effectively pass back papers. Those 3 tips will hopefully save you a lot of time and alleviate a lot of that stress. If this is the first time meeting, my name is Gabriel Vigil. I've been teaching in Southern California for a total of 18 years. And my goal for this channel is to provide tips and tricks of the trade to make your teacher life easier. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe. And with that said, let's roll. If you've been on a diet, a common concept is to meal plan for the entire week with the hopes that it's going to reduce the stress of planning out your meals and cooking later on, and hopefully keep you on track better when the decision time comes to eat healthy or not to eat healthy. Well, that same principle applies to lesson planning. What I do is I plan out my lessons 3 weeks at a time, usually at a unit at a time. Now, I'll devote about 2 hours to do this, and so those 2 hours I'll break down exactly what I need to do. But by doing this, it eliminates the stress of lesson planning for the next 3 weeks.
So worth it?
It is definitely worth it. In fact, it's great because by doing that, you actually apply it to a bigger picture. So you see what the next 3 weeks are going to be. So you got the bigger picture in line, which actually helps your lessons not only be more effective, but also be better in line with your overall goal. So it is definitely worth it. Now, if you would like to see how exactly I lesson plan, I'll make sure I leave a link below in the description box. That way you can see exactly how I lesson plan 3 weeks at a time. But basically what I do is I take out a blank calendar, then I mark off holidays or other things going on like fire drills and so forth, things that will actually take away from my learning time or my teaching time. And then from there, I'll decide what I want my students to learn, and then I'll decide what activities I want to engage the students with. And then finally, I'll put that on a calendar and work it all out. But once again, the key is I take only about 2 hours. I do the entire 3 weeks, and then I am set with that mental process. And that alone relieves a lot of stress. Before I jump into the next tip, do me a favor, in the comment section below, just kind of put down how many hours you spend grading a week. Just so as a community, we can see exactly how many hours a week we are committing to grading papers for students. Because once again, if you're a teacher, if you're not a teacher, you're not in the education field, you have no idea how much time is spent on each of these activities. So once again, in the comments below, just put down roughly how many hours a week you spend grading. With that said, tip number 2, how to quickly and easily grade papers. Now, there are going to be some assignments that are going to take more time to grade than others, mainly because you're looking for specific things. Maybe you're looking to see if there's any growth in a certain area or certain skills the kids have mastered. So those things will take more time to grade. But on the whole, most of my assignments are not exactly grading for those things. I'm just trying to get the information out to the students, and I'm trying to make sure they get down the basic skills needed. And then that is what I'm hoping the students will get from most of my assignments. And the other assignments, of course, you'll spend more time grading. But for the bulk of the assignments, the main thing I'm looking for is students to participate in the assignment and to complete the assignment. And for those, that is easy to grade. Let me give you a more practical example. I teach American history. And of course, I want students to understand the overall concepts and the major themes and make connections between those. But before we can even get to that point, students have to understand the basic information. And so that is what I'm looking to grade quickly and effectively and easily. So let's say I have my students take notes. And what they'll do is they'll take the notes, maybe spend a day on the notes or 2 days on the notes. But here's the key. They will take the notes. But when they're done with the notes, they're actually the ones grading it. I will put on the board or maybe the overhead how they're to grade their notes. There'll be certain points for each different thing on the notes. But when it's all said and done, they grade their notes, they put the total at the top, and then they circle it. To be honest with you, the first time I had students do this, I was worried. I was worried students were going to lie, to cheat, and give themselves more points than they earn. But when I actually started to do this, I realized that's not the case. Students 99% of the time are honest, and 99% of the time they're actually fairly accurate on their grading. And the students that you believe are going to be deceptive, well, just take a few more minutes and actually look at theirs a little bit more detail just to make sure they are on the up and up. But for most students, they're going to be honest and correct about it. Then what I do is I take all those papers and I can quickly go through the grade book, just count the points, type them in, count the points, type in, look at the points, type in, look at the points, type them in, and I can grade an entire class in under 5 minutes. That means for an entire day's worth of work, I can grade all that in under 25 minutes.
25 minutes?
I know, right? 25 minutes, that's it. And to be honest with you, most of these assignments actually maybe like 2 days or 3 assignments. So I can grade 2 days or 3 days worth of work in under 25 minutes for all 5 classes. That saves me so much time. And with that, oh man, it relieves so much of that stress. So having kids grade their own papers, that's been a game changer. That has saved me time and helped me get rid of some of that stress. Now that we've done all that grading, it is time to pass back papers. You know, I was telling my daughter this, and she goes, "How hard is it to pass back papers, Dad? You just pass them back." I go, "You don't understand. You try to pass back papers, you trying to pass papers, you got students coming and asking you questions, you're trying to pass back papers, you got to answer a phone call, you try to pass back papers, and the next thing you know, students are goofing off." I said, it's not that easy to pass back papers because they're constantly dealing with other things. So here's my secret to passing back papers. Now, the first thing you have to understand about my class is I have students come to my class, and for the first 7 minutes, they're all working on an independent assignment. I call this my warm-up. And so the first 7 minutes of class, students have been conditioned not to ask me questions, not to ask me about extra credit, and not to come talk to me. First 7 minutes, it's them doing their work and me doing my chores, which basically incorporates take and roll, checking with a few students, and passing back papers if need be. But what I normally do, instead of me passing back my papers myself, is I'll choose 1 or 2 dependable students. So I already know going into the class what students I can count on, what students I know already have the concepts down, are doing well in the class. And so what I'll ask them, I say, "Hey, instead of doing the warm-up, would you mind passing back papers?" And almost always they'll say sure. They'll love to do that because they prefer passing back papers versus actually doing the work. So within the first 7 minutes of class, all the papers have been passed back. They need to be passed back. I'm able to take care of my 7 minutes of processing time, attendance, and everything else. So that when it becomes time to start teaching, I know things are running smoothly and that stress is behind me. So that is my 3 practical tips for stress management for teachers and to give us some of our time back. I hope you found the information helpful. If you haven't else already, please subscribe. And if you want more information about any of the things I do, please click on one of the links here to watch another video. Thank you for watching and stay zesty.